Okay, hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 4. We will present today. Next. So this is our group member, me, Muhammad Shadinil bin Dawood. Next is Tuan Nurul Ifa binti Tuan Ismail. And next is Nur Fadlin Adila binti Zulkifli. So here is the table of contents that we're going to present. First, we explain Erikson psychosocial stages. Second, we're going to see Ibn Khaldun perspective of socialization and Ibn Khaldun educational approaches and some conclusion. So yeah, we are starting from a psychoanalytic process. So who the founder? The founder is Erikson. Erikson was born on June 15, 1902 in Frankfurt, Germany. He was raised by his single mother from he was infant. So at a school, he always be teased for being a tall, blue-eyed, blonde, Nordic-looking boy, and he was being rejected as a Jewish and no love from a father. So these early experiences sparked in his interest in the formation of identity. He explained that as a child, he often felt confused about who he was and how he fit into his community. Thus, he faced his own identity crisis at an early age. He was an artist and a teacher in the late 1920s when he met Anna Freud. Anna Freud soon noticed rapport with children and encouraged him to formally study psychoanalysis at a Vienna Psychoanalytic Institute. So he migrated to the United States in 1933 and taught at Yale University and Harvard University. So it was at this point in his life, he became interested in the influence of society and culture on child development. So to satisfy his curiosity, he studied a group of American Indian children to help formulate his theories. By studying these children, enabled him to correlate personality growth with parental and societal values. And at his clinical work with children continued, he developed the identity crisis concept. The identity crisis concept is an inevitable conflict that accompanies the growth of sense of identity, and he developed 8 stages of psychosocial development. Okay, next. So this is the video that we're going to play.
Erikson's theory of psychosocial development identifies 8 stages which a healthy individual should pass through from birth to death. At each stage, we encounter different needs, ask new questions, and meet people who influence our behavior and learning. Stage 1. Basic trust versus mistrust. As infants, we ask ourselves if we can trust the world, and we wonder if it's safe. We learn that if we can trust someone now, we can also trust others in the future. If we experience fear, we develop doubt and mistrust. The key to our development is our mother. Stage 2. Autonomy versus shame and doubt. In our early childhood, we experience ourselves and discover our body. We ask, is it okay to be me? If we are allowed to discover ourselves, then we develop self-confidence. If we are not, we can develop shame and self-doubt. Both parents now play a major role. Stage 3. Initiative versus guilt. In preschool, we take initiative, try out new things, and learn basic principles like how round things roll. We ask, is it okay for me to do what I do? If we are encouraged, we can follow our interests. If we are held back or told that what we do is silly, we can develop guilt. We are now learning from the entire family. Stage 4. Industry versus inferiority. Now we discover our own interests and realize that we are different from others. We want to show that we can do things right. We ask if we can make it in this world. If we receive recognition from our teachers or peers, we become industrious, which is another word for hardworking. If we get too much negative feedback, we start to feel inferior and lose motivation. Our neighbors and schools now influence us the most. Stage 5. Identity versus role confusion. During adolescence, we learn that we have different social roles. We are friends, students, children, and citizens. Many experience an identity crisis. If our parents now allow us to go out and explore, we can find identity. If they push us to conform to their views, we can face role confusion and feel lost. Key to our learning are our peers and role models. Stage 6. Intimacy versus isolation. As young adults, we slowly understand who we are, and we start to let go of the relationships we had built earlier in order to fit in. We ask ourselves if we can love. If we can make a long-term commitment, we are confident and happy. If we cannot form intimate relationships, we might end up feeling isolated and lonely. Our friends and partners are now central to our development. Stage 7. Generativity versus stagnation. When we reach our 40s, we become comfortable, use our leisure time creatively, and maybe begin contributing to society. Our concern is generativity. If we think that we are able to lead the next generation into this world, we are happy. If we did not resolve some conflicts earlier, we can become pessimistic and experience stagnation. People at home and at work are now who influences the most. Stage 8. Ego integrity versus despair. As we grow older, we tend to slow down and begin to look back over our lives. We ask, how have I done? If we think we did well, we develop feelings of contentment and integrity. If not, we can experience despair and become grumpy and bitter. Time to compare us with mankind. Erikson was a German-American psychologist who, together with his wife Joan, became known for his work on psychosocial development. He was influenced by Sigmund and Anna Freud and became famous for coining the phrase identity crisis. Although Erikson lacked even a bachelor's degree, he served as a professor at Harvard and Yale. This video was made for us by MinuteVideos.com, who are doing everything to make Erikson's theory of
Okay, so we hope the video will give you an overview about Erikson's psychosocial stages of development. So next, okay, the first stage in Erikson theory is trust versus mistrust. So we're gonna explain more detail about this 8 psychosocial stages. Okay, this trust versus mistrust stage occurs between birth to 1 year old. At this point in development, infants learn a basic sense of trust dependent upon how their needs meet. So they are utterly dependent upon adult caregiver for everything they need to survive, including food, love, warmth, safety, and nurturing. Next. So they need caregivers to help them in dealing with this crisis. Children will develop a sense of trust when caregivers provide reliability, care, and affection. When they start to trust caregivers in infancy, they will be more likely to form trusting bonds that are crucial for their social and emotional development. If a child successfully develop trust, they will feel safe and secure in the world. So if the children succeed to deal with this, they will build a healthy relationship.
Está claro.
Next slide. Next slide, please. Okay. In the mistrust part, children raised by caregivers who are inconsistent, rejecting, or not giving attention that make children fail to meet their basic needs. So they will develop a sense of mistrust. If a caregivers feel help them in this dealing with the crisis, children will feel that they cannot trust or depend upon the adults in their life. Failure to develop trust can cause children to become fearful, confused, and anxious, all of which make it difficult to form healthy relationships. So these children will have a poor social support and be isolate and loneliness. Okay, we move to the second stages is autonomy versus shame doubt. The second stage happen during early childhood that occurs from ages 1 to 3. This stage is focused on children to develop personal control, which they express themselves by doing this on their own. They are starting to perform basic action on their own and making simple decisions about what they prefer. Okay, as they learn to do things for themselves, uh, they establish a sense of control over themselves in what they do and how they do it, as well as some basic confidence in their own abilities. So parents need to offer reassurance and having faith in their children's ability in this stage. Success during this stage of psychosocial development leads to feeling of autonomy, while failure results in feeling of shame and doubt. Okay, next. So, if the children want to succeed in this stage, the caregiver needs to provide opportunities for children to be independent. Okay, for example, give allowing them to make food, clothing, and choices, and provide them reassurance that they have done a good job by allowing kids to make choices and gain control, parents and caregivers can help children develop a sense of autonomy. If they are allowed to discover themselves, then they develop self-confidence. Okay, that's okay. However, the children may have feelings of shame and doubt if their parents are negative or punish them for a simple mistake. And these children who struggle and who are for their accident may be left without a sense of personal control, having a self-doubt and struggle to be self-sufficient later in their development. So we move to the third stage, which is initiative versus guilt. Okay, in this stage of psychosocial development will take place during their preschool years in 3 until 5 years. Oh, at this point, children begin to assert their power and control over the world through directing play and other social interaction. They need to try things on their own and explore their own abilities. Okay, by doing this, they can develop ambition and direction. Such decision can range from friends, who they play with, the activities that they engage in, and the way that they approach different tasks. Okay, as you might guess, play and imagination take on an important role at this stage. Children have their sense of initiative reinforced by given the freedom and encouragement to play. Next. Okay, during this stage, it's important, yeah, for caregivers to encourage exploration and to help children make appropriate choice. Children who are successful at this stage feel capable and able to lead others. They are taking initiative by planning activities, accomplishing tasks, and facing challenges. Kid with initiative will understand that mistake happen and it's okay. And then they just need to stand up and try again. Okay, next. However, caregivers who are discouraging or dismiss, not give freedom, may cause children to feel ashamed of themselves and to become overly dependent upon the help of others. Kids who fail to acquire these skills are left with a sense of guilt, self-doubt, and lack of initiative. While mistakes are inevitable in life, actually, right? So children who experience guilt will instead interpret mistake as a sign of personal failure. They will might think that, oh, I will a failed person, like because of this mistake, I can't do it. So this may be left with a sense that they are bad. So they are fear to try a new things. Okay, we move to the next stage.
Next, I am Fadlin Adila and I am going to explain on the stage 4, which is industry vs inferiority. Uh, it, it is started from 5 until 12 years old. In this stage, the children need to be productive and do work on their own, which means they must prepare both physically and mentally to adapt their situation, especially when they are at school during the interaction with their peers. They need to discover their own interests and realize that they are different from others. In this context, they try to explore many things that suitable for them and feel that they are more than others. They show that they can do the thing right, and identify themselves that they are better than others. For industry, the interaction with peers and teachers at school plays an imperative role of child development. The child, for the first time, has a wide variety of events to deal with, including academics, group activities, and friends. It is essential for the child at this stage to discover pleasure in being productive and they need to be succeed. For inferiority, the negative feedback will lead them to start to feel inferior and lose motivation. The difficulty with the child's ability to move between the world at home and the world of peers can lead to feeling of inferiority. They viewing themselves as unproductive and possibly not fully useful members of society. So we move to the next stage is identity vs role confusion. It is started from 13 until 19 years old. In this stage, they learn to have many different social roles. They're interested in how social interaction and relationships affect development and growth. If they're successfully completing this stage, it will lead them to have a strong sense of self that will remain throughout their life. For identity, the adolescent must make a conscious search for identity, which means this is built on the outcome and resolution to conflict in previous stage. They may experiment with different roles, activities, and behaviors as they seek to establish a sense of self. The teens may experiment with different roles. This is important to the process forming a strong identity and developing a sense of direction in their life. Friends, social groups, schoolmates, societal trends, and even popular culture play an important role towards their development. For role confusion, if the adolescent cannot make deliberate decisions and choices, especially about vocation, sexual orientation, and even life in general, the role confusion becomes a threat to them. The teens who are not allowed to explore and test out different identities might be lost. They're never really sure what they want to with their life, whether they tend to drift from one job or relationship to another. Next, in the stage 6, which is intimacy vs isolation. It is started from 20 until 30 years old. In this stage, the most important events are having love relationship. Friends and partners are centered to our development. For intimacy, it requires sharing yourself with others. If they success to adapt with right people, it will them to have a healthy and fulfilling relationship. But if they fail, they will experience loneliness and isolation. The young adult must be willing to be open and committed to another individual to make their life going smoothly. From that, it can help them develop deeply personal connection to others. For isolation, if the young adult faced with disappointment, especially on their relationship, a person attempts to avoid intimacy. An individual may retreat into isolation if a sense of identity is not developed and will fear with a committed relationship. And lastly, if they were harmed in an intimate relationship, it will make them to prevent from developing healthy relationships.
Okay, thank you, Fadlin. So now I am Tuan Nurifa and I will be explaining on stage 7, which is generativity versus stagnation, which happens in the age of 40 to 65 years old. Okay, so as I have mentioned, generativity versus stagnation happen between 40 to 65 years old. In this stage, people feel to be urged to be more productive and make contribution to the society. Just like the video that we have shown earlier, it has mentioned that during this stage, people they want to have a happy life, a leisure life, because they have been pushing a lot towards their young as a young man or young woman. So in this life is like a leisure time for them. And in this stage, which is between 40 to 65 years old, people in the middle age, they are like they want to leave a legacy. And because of that, major milestones may happen at this stage, such as children leaving home, change of career path. Okay, for example, during they were young, they have a job which is a very good job. They work very hard to gain more salary, and then because of that, when it's time at this age, they want to, maybe some of them already retired or stop from the job that they are doing, just to get some happiness and to find a leisure time for themselves. Okay, but then people who fail at this stage, failure to resolve some crisis that might happen in this stage might lead them to stagnation. But then when if the crisis is successfully resolved, they can develop a virtue of care for themselves. Okay, so I will be explaining more. What is generativity? Okay, according to Erikson, 1950, parenthood is the primary generative type. And also Erikson also have described that generativity is involved individual who is involved in the community during this stage. They give back to the society, just like they participate in social programs like the non-government organization, NGO, and many more. So in generativity also, it refers to making your mark on the world by caring for others, as well as creating and accomplishing things that make the world a better place. So then moving on to stagnation. Okay, stagnation is because they have been through crisis at this stage. It can be explained as self-centered, self-indulgent, or self-absorbed. They focused on what one can get from others, not what one can give. So it is opposite from generativity, because in generativity they want to give, not to get. Okay, so in stagnation, these people are lack of interest in young people and have little interest in being productive at work or developing talents. Okay. Moving on to the next stage, which is integrity versus despair. Okay, this stage happens between the people 65 years old and above. Okay, in integrity versus despair, we contemplate our accomplishment and can develop integrity if we see ourselves as leading a successful life. Okay, so in integrity, people with who have integrity will have an ability to accept the fact that one's life and face death without great fear. and they will feel like along their life they have done a well life, and we can say that they are ready to face death. And the third one is incorporating all life events into a positive whole. They always think positive about life, and we can say that integrity is a very positive person, which the age 65 and above. And next is despair. Okay, despair is very opposite from the first one, because in despair they feel that along their life they have made the wrong decision, and because of that it leads to frustration and regrets. Because of that they cannot accept that death is very near to them. Unlike the first one, that they can accept death is near. Okay, next I will move to how we as a future school teacher or counselor can benefit from Erikson psychosocial stages. Okay, since as a future teacher we will teach at school, so when we see throughout the stages, 8 stages, I can conclude that these 3 stages is the stages where by the age is the age of the people in school. Just like the first one is initiative versus guilt, which happen between 3 to 5 years old. So in this stage, we can say that these children is in their kindergarten. Okay, so how a school teacher can benefit is that school teacher can give children the opportunity to make choices and act upon those choices, because the crisis of initiative versus guilt determines whether a child learns to play activities on her own or comes to associate self-directed behavior with punishment. So the kid must have the opportunity to make decisions. A teacher should always provide a portion of the day when children can choose their own activities. And since these children is very little and small, maybe the teacher can make a classroom which have a mini library where children can pick their own books that they are interested on, so that they can develop their attention, and they can make decisions for themselves. Okay, next is industry versus inferiority, which happen in stage 4. Okay, this stage is between the kids 5 to 12 years old, which can be seen as a primary school kids. So in this stage, teachers maybe can allow students the opportunity to set a realistic goal. Since these students can think wisely before more than when they are in kindergarten, so teachers can help them to create an academic and personal goals for each quarter and revisit those goals every few weeks to monitor their own progress. Okay, the teacher also can help to break down each assignment or each work that the children have into parts, so the students can learn how to set the time management and goal, because this stage is children is very young. Maybe they can think wisely, but they cannot really make a time management, a perfect time management. So as a teacher we need to help the students. And besides that, for instance, we can collect all the project at once and help them to brainstorm the ideas, not just give the assignment, give the work, but then do not help. We need to help lah, and give some ideas too. And the last one is in the identity versus role confusion, which happens between 13 to 19 years old. This is when students is in secondary school. So in this part, they can think wisely, and they are also like a young adult at this stage. So the first thing that teacher can do is to provide a variety of positive role models for the student. Okay, I would like to open the floor. I want to ask what are the example of positive role model that a teacher can show to the students in order for the students to look at the role model and take that as an example. Can anyone give their opinion?
Um, I think the teacher can show the good example, like be punctual, be disciplined, and be patient. In educate the student in classroom.
Okay, yes, that's true. Okay, thank you, Aini, for sharing your opinion. Okay, so uh, a teacher can provide a positive role model to their students. Okay, adolescence is the time that they are discovering their own identity and in search of their own identity. So, um, a teenager need to be teach on how to criticize their behavior rather than making personal condemn of the students themselves. And as a teacher, we need to help them to explain the long-term consequences of what ever decision that they are doing. Like maybe they decide to do something that is not very good. So that as a teacher, we need to be true. We need to say to them, if you do like this, if you're lazy in study, you don't have any passion, you play while you are studying, you are not serious, maybe in the future you will not have a great career, or might be that we need to explain the consequences that these adolescents might face in the future. And we also need to teach them about the discipline, about the good things about life, because they are on their way to face the real life in the future. And this will help to for the students to know better about what they can do and what they could not do in the future. Okay, and I think that's all for how teachers can benefit from Erikson psychosocial stages.
We move to the next part, which is Ibn Khaldun's perspective of socialization. Before that, let me introduce to all of you a little bit background about Ibn Khaldun. His name is Abdul Ar-Rahman Ibn Muhammad Ibn Abi Bakar Muhammad Ibn Al-Hasan Ibn Khaldun. His nickname is Wali ad-Din, but known as Ibn Khaldun. He was born on 1st Ramadan 732 Hijrah on 27 May 1332 in Tunisia. He is founder of philosophy of history and philosophy of sociology. He was learned Quran from his father and studied Arabic grammar, language, hadith and jurisprudence in Tunis. And at that time, Tunis was the center for learning in Africa. He was died in 17 March 1406 in Cairo, Mesir, in 74 years old. So, Shah, for the
So,
next slide.
okay, so I will explain about Ibn Khaldun thoughts and socialization, which is I relate Ibn Khaldun thought and the socialization, because in his book Al Muqaddimah, he not precisely or make a subtopic about socialization. So we need to go through to his thoughts and we relate it. Okay, so socialization in a politics. One example from Ibn Khaldun thoughts, which is Khalifa. In his book, it's written that Khalifa made by God as its substitute to handle the affairs of his servants. Okay, nowadays, Khalifa idea can be implemented by our leader in controlling the ethical issue. So we replace Khalifa to our leader today, which the moral value can also be shaped by our leader. This is because a socialization, as we know, is a moral development. So it's a changeable. Okay, for example, leader can control the ethical issue that happen in current day, such as social media. Okay, nowadays users like uploading false communication with the intent to annoy, cyberbullying, to threaten another person. So the leader can implement new enacted such Malaysia leaders do it. They implemented anti-fake news Act 2018. So this can restrict incorrect news spread and protect the public interest from manipulated news content, and also it's also help that they will be more responsible and conscious in sharing news. Okay, the next point is socialization in shaping soul. Ibn Khaldun written in his book that the soul is the first natural state of creation that ready to accept whatever good or evil that might arrive and leave an effect. When the goodness has been first to enter the soul of a good person, and his soul has thus acquired the good moral, and it moved away from evil and it's find difficult to do anything evil. So socialization is important in shaping soul since it's a process how the soul will be shaped. Okay, for example, if the kids exposed with the positive socializations, hence the attitude will be positive and will be practiced until he grown up. Okay, next slide.
So the next slide is
Oh,
how the
sorry.
teacher. Allah Allah. So the next slide is how the teacher and school counselor benefit from Ibn Khaldun's perspective of socialization. First, we as school counselor can assist students to enhance socialization. In Ibn Khaldun's theory of education, he said that the human soul is natural state. Since birth, no one is evil or good but ready to accept those. Therefore, the teacher should increase their students' socialization, as the school is one of the secondary socialization that refers to the social learning that children undergo when they enter school. There are many new behaviors and experiences that children must adapt to when starting school for the first time. Secondly, uh, we as a teacher can teach students on how to strengthen their discipline to adapt with their community. We can practice good values that we say and do in the classroom. For example, by showing respect for our students for their opinion, belief, and others. The benefit also not extend beyond the classroom but into the home life, sports, and social environment of the student. From being more respectful to everyone and to understand the social norms in different situations. And lastly, we as a teacher also can provide socialization skills. Children must learn the work ethics that goes along with school and understand the goals of learning as well as adjusting their efforts according to their teacher. For instance, the teacher provide a classroom duty roster that should be practiced by each student. From that, student will learn on how to be amanah in accordance with the hadith an-nazafatu minal iman. So, we move to the next part, which is Ibn Khaldun's educational approaches.
So education. So what is the concept of education based on Ibn Khaldun perspective? So education, according to Ibn Khaldun, is seen as a social process in terms of its contents, function, and objectives. To the extent that this process is cannot be separated from the society. Um, Plus, Ibn Khaldun believed that the education is a national phenomena in human beings. But when Allah created man to have a brain used for constant thinking, which distinguishes human beings from other creatures. So this shows that Ibn Khaldun realized that the nature of human thoughts usually hunts for knowledge and inquire, and therefore urge men to learn and acquire knowledge. Okay. This idea shows that man is a program to learn, discover, and achieve goals. Also, Ibn Khaldun believes that education is a learned art that cannot be from an abstract entity, but it should be on experimentation, training, and experiential practice.
Uh,
Tuan, tolong mute, saya tak habis lagi. Okay. So, uh, when education acquired through exerting continuous effort and experiential practice means educational process require mastery of proficiency and skillfulness. Okay, so Ibn Khaldun maintains that proficiency and skillfulness means having the talent for mastering the basic components and element of science. So understanding its controversial issue and deducing its subdivision of its basic principle. So if such talent was missing, there will be neither proficiency nor skillfulness. So we need to be mastered in some subject, and then that will be the concept of education. Okay, next slide.
so we move to the next slide, which is philosophy of Ibn Khaldun in education. Education, according to Ibn Khaldun, consists of the moral, intellectual training and teaching of human to bring out the potential with men for better character and personality. For example, we as Muslim of men and women should gain the knowledge of the Holy Quran and Sunnah and following the guidance of Allah taught by the Holy Prophet. The educational system of any society should be formulated in accordance with the ideology of the society. Education should be a means to bring happiness in life of people. It is aimed to develop the power of thinking and reasoning. In Ibn Khaldun philosophy, it stated that traveling is a means to gain knowledge and education. If we want to seek a lot of knowledge, we should not to stay in one places, but we must traveling to another country to explore many things that we do not know before that. In terms of teaching, he discouraged the method of teaching which did not help students to think and solve problems by their own. And lastly, he disliked memorization while encourages participation and discussion. The next slide is Ibn Khaldun's education and children's upbringing. Ibn Khaldun classified education and children's upbringing into three different types, which are psychological information, historical information, and lastly, practical instruction. For psychological information, it is based on the education and rearing theories. Every action, whether materialistic, spiritual, mental, or physical, had to leave an influence on the human self. With the repetition of this action, it will become a habit, which in return would become a specialization. Secondly, historical information. It is explained the use means of education and bringing up children in different countries. The cultural difference of another age must govern the evaluation of relevant historical material. It is to distinguish the principle according to which it might be possible to attempt the evaluation and to feel the needs for experience into rational principle in order to assess a culture of the past. And lastly, practical instruction. It is identified the rules that parents and teachers should follow. For example, clearly establish rules, expectation and procedures in the school or at home, then discuss and reference them often. The children cannot be expected to be held accountable for their action if they do not know how they should behave. Be firm, fair and consistent to their children to become more smooth. So I will pass to the next presenter.
Okay, next I will be explaining on the branches of education by Ibn Khaldun, and these examples is according to science that Ibn Khaldun have introduced. Okay, the four aspects in science that Ibn Khaldun introduced is the first one is logic, Second one, physics. Third one, metaphysics. And the fourth is measurement. So what is logic? Okay, logic is a science protecting the mind from error. Okay, in Arabic we call this as al-mantiq. It is functioning to protect the mind from error in the process of concluding unknown facts from the available facts. Okay, the aim of this science is to distinguish between the right and the wrong. Okay, so one attempts to know from the available known facts. Okay, so that is logic. The second one is physics, or in Arabic we call it as al-tabi'iyat or natural science in English. Okay, this science discusses the reality of elemental substances perceived by the sense, namely the minerals, plants, and the animals which are created from the elemental substance, and the heavenly bodies or natural motions, and the soul from which the motion originate. Okay, the third one is metaphysics. Okay, in metaphysics, or in Arabic we call it as uluhiyat. Okay, Ibn Khaldun began his elucidation by giving definition of this science. He said that this science is a noble discipline as it explains about God and about existence. Okay, in this science, it studies general matters affecting corporeal and spiritual beings such as qualities, mahiyat, oneness, wahdah, plurality, kathrah, necessity, wujud, and possibility, imkan. And the last one is measurement. In measurement, Ibn Khaldun comprises 4 different sciences which are called as mathematical science, and the examples are geometry, arithmetic, music, and astronomy. He explained each of these sciences and mentioned that there are 7 basic philosophical sciences, which is logic, physics, metaphysics, and these 4 sciences mentioned by me earlier. Okay, so these 4 are the examples of branches of knowledge in the terms of science that Ibn Khaldun have taught earlier. So I pass it to Shadin here.
So, right. So, how we as a teacher or counselor can benefit Ibn Khaldun perspective or educational approach. So here, next. Okay. So, as mentioned by Adil before, Ibn Khaldun said the educational system of any society should be formulated in accordance with the ideology of the society. Okay. Right now, we focus on how teacher or counselor can benefit from his perspective to inculcate socialization to students. So, in this modern day, sometimes the traditional pedagogy, such teaching verbally, could not explain or be an attractive way to show that how we care or how big we emphasize on the morality. So, teacher need to change the technique from the lean teaching and teach moral accordance to what that have been written in the textbook. We change to the pedagogy that students prefer to be taught. Okay, for example, the way teacher teach morality by read the content that have been written in the textbook is such a lame technique. So how about in this modern day, we change the pedagogy according to the trend right now? Yes, teacher follow the trend to teach moral. For example, a teacher can use a social media such as a Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok to give awareness about morality. Okay, next slide. So, as I mentioned before, Ibn Khaldun mentioned that traveling is a mean to gain knowledge and education. I think at this point, teacher can benefit from it. As we know, in this modern world, we don't need to travel to have education. So we modernize this concept to the education globally. So teacher can use for how the morality is valued by the culture or norms. We don't need to use it to learn other morals, but we just can search and read from the internet or make it an interview session through Skype with them. So because sometimes we need to learn and come out from the box to have the better result, and can emulate the good side of others' moral. For example, a teacher can make Japan's education system, which teaching the morality since kindergarten, as an example to that in Malaysian education nowadays. So teacher can benefit this perspective to find ideas outside from the circle. Okay, next. So this is a reference.
Okay. Okay, we are not done yet. As we have prepared some quiz for everyone to answer via Kahoot. Okay, I will send the link to Kahoot and everyone can click the link at the chat box. Okay. Okay, we will wait for the pin, and when the pin appear, everyone can enter. Okay, everyone can enter by typing the game pin.
Ifa, can you share the
game
pin?
Okay. Oh, jap, salah. Wait, I shared the wrong screen. Okay, try to answer this quiz until you get full marks, because the first person, the champion, we will give a reward during face-to-face class next week. Okay, I will wait for 1 more minute and I will start the quiz. I will start the quiz. So good luck. Okay, 14 people is correct. Okay, next. Okay, congrats to Aini Nabila. Which sentence best explains on trust in the first stage? Trust, okay, not mistrust. Okay, congrats. 17 people is correct. Okay, so let's see. Okay, Aini Nabila is still leading, following by Laksmana and Alia. Oops. Okay, the third one is industry versus inferiority. Okay, we have a new person who leads the way. Okay, Fatin Syahira is leading the way. So, next question. True or false? Good. Okay, we have a new leader, which is Zul. Okay, next question. Initiative versus guilt. Okay. So Fatin lead the way back, following by Shah, Laksmana, Zul and Bai. So next, true or false? Okay, good. Okay, still Fatin Syahira. So the next question. Accept. So, Ibn Khaldun's education and children's upbringing consists of historical, practical and psychological, not communication. Okay, so next question. Okay, still Fatin Syahira. Next. Branches of education by Ibn Khaldun are the science that I have explained before. This question have answer more than one. Okay, Zul need a comeback. question. Okay, still Zul. Okay, so still leads me. And the second last question. Okay, so Ibn Khaldun's real name is Abdurrahman bin Muhammad bin Muhammad. Okay. Still Zul. High marks. Okay, congrats. So the last question is, okay. So let's see the winner. Okay, the third place is Shah. Second place Fatin Shahira. Okay, and the winner is Zul Hafiz. Okay, so thank you for participating in our quiz, and we hope that everyone gets benefit on our presentation for today. Okay, that's all from my group.
Okay, mashallah, really great. Thank you so much, Sister Ifa, Brother Shah, Daniel. Thank you, both of you. What happened to Sister Adila?
We share the same screen. Share laptop, huh?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay, thank you all of you, Sister Ifa, Brother Shah, and Sister Adila. Really very good presentation, very good explanation, and I like when you included the part how can the teachers, counselors benefit from this theory of Erikson and also from Ibn Khaldun views regarding education and socialization. Thank you so much. It was really good and interesting. I hope other group will be doing the same, inshallah. Thank you, everyone. And any question regarding any question you want to ask? I think the group regarding the question, the group will answer later, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Any question before we conclude this session? I just hope that you gonna start working on the case study because case study, it has the highest weightage for the marks regarding your assessment. Meaning I'll be doing it 25% for the psychological perspective and also 20% for the sociological perspective. I hope you will start looking. I prefer something, cases regarding maybe students as the Malaysian schools or any morality related issues. So you can choose a case study, and you analyze the case. You also give us a good background explanation about the case. Then you move to the analysis from sociological perspective and psychological perspective. Then after that, you move to the solutions. What can be the solutions from psychological and sociological perspective? And I hope you will include also about your role as a school counselor or school teacher in dealing with such issues, or and something like proactive actions to avoid such issues among your students. So we conclude our session with the recitation of Surah Al-Asr and Tasbih Kafara.
Benefit daripada tajuk tu asas school counselor apa? Tak tahu. Tak
Thank you everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.